everyone. This is your host, Hepburn of the Voiceless Speak Forever podcast. And today we're doing Advocacy Tales. We will be covering two stories today, one about bad breeding and one regarding rescue. The first is actually a retelling. It was originally the first interview conducted for the Voices Speak Forever Instagram page. And I want to retell it because despite the efforts of the interviewee to bring justice for all the abused bunnies at Bunny Rabbitry, which is a bunny breeding business that specializes in Holland Lops, this page is still going strong with over 100,000 followers and the people who are still buying from them and people who are still interested in buying from them. And I can see why because I was scrolling through Instagram the other day and I saw a very cute baby rabbit and I clicked on the photo and was ready to press the like button until I saw that it was posted by Bunny Rabbitry. And of course, I refuse to like it because this rabbitry's bad breeding habits have endangered so many bunnies and have killed so many bunnies and have also hurt so many people from the death of their bunnies. So it's my hope that in retelling this story to you guys, you will be able to help the interviewee in her endeavor to bring Bunny Rabbitry down. This is the interview of a victim of Bunny Rabbitry. This is the tragic story of Thumper. I've managed to stay anonymous this whole time and would like to keep it that way as these breeders have made a lot of threats to people over the years for trying to expose them. You can say I'm a New York native that was in a bad car accident last year and was seeking an emotional support animal as recommended by my doctors. On their advice, I purchased Thumper, my Holland Lop, in December of 2019 from Bunny Rabbitry. On my visit with them, I noticed something was off. They had multiple bunnies piled on top of each other in dirty cages, and this massive pregnant doe on a wire bottom cage that was not a lop. The red flag was when the breeder's mother told me to never take him to a vet. Just call them if there were any issues. That let me know that they were hiding something. I took him in and learned he was severely malnourished and had been taken from his mom too early. My vet suggested looking more into this breeder, and that's when I found all of the horrible reviews on her. And a few weeks later, Thumper died. Thumper was his sweetheart. Tiny but social. He was far from shy. He'd crawl in anyone's lap, hop around anywhere, and truly brought joy to anyone who met him. It was a huge blow for multiple people when he died. On his medical record under observed behavior, the vet wrote, gives kisses. This tragedy happened in January of 2020, so it was just the start of a bad year. The last week of January, Thumper died, and then my grandmother a few days later, only to be followed by a statewide shutdown 4 weeks after that. It was hard to heal because every other day something more dramatic happened. From this sadness, a fire was lit under me to stop these backyard breeders from taking advantage of any other family. And after sharing Thumper's story on Instagram, it spread like wildfire. So many people came forward who had their rabbits die or had thousands of dollars in medical bills, including myself, to try to save their rabbits. I called local authorities and learned that they had been doing it for years, but someone was tipping off the breeder to let them know authorities were coming to inspect their rabbitry, and every time they showed up, the bunnies were gone. The fact that they were going out of their way to hide them from authorities proved they were definitely hiding something. This continued to take place throughout 2020, and authorities in their town claimed they couldn't do anything or couldn't locate the rabbits. The worst part is the local authorities doing nothing about it. I think if they were dogs, they'd be more productive, but I can't tell you how many times we contacted them and they would brush us off or dismiss our complaints. It wasn't until recently that a customer contacted me who had a lot of legal ties and is currently struggling with the health of their rabbit. We took it to authorities on a state level and got much better feedback. Nevertheless, it's always heartbreaking to hear another one passed away. That's not something I wish on anyone. But this only strengthened my resolve to bring them down. You see, they were charging a ridiculous amount for these malnourished rabbits, and we are trying to shut down their abusive practices and stop them from hurting any other family. They sell rabbits underage, starve them to keep them small, and even tell customers to only give them a pinch of hay. They advise you to never go to the vet, refuse to let you see the parents, supply no medical documentation, and are now charging $500 for rabbits. We learned through the New Jersey Attorney General's office that these breeders are breaking several laws, and the wheels are finally in motion to shut them down. Even though this has been hard, I find it therapeutic to help others and to prevent others from having to go through the same thing. And it's nice to know that although his life was short, his story has saved many other families from the same heartache. I get a lot of messages thanking me for exposing this breeder, some who were literally in transit to pick up their rabbit and change their mind. So, I suppose it is a blessing in disguise to be able to help others. For those who want to help, right now, the biggest thing is to share the latest information posted on my Instagram and to have as many customers as possible report their purchase, especially those who've had their rabbits die. These breeders are required to have a state and federal license and are required to bring these rabbits to a vet prior to selling them and supply that paperwork. They refuse. It's imperative for the safety of the animals to have them held accountable for their actions. They are mass breeding sick, infected rabbits and selling them underage at a ridiculous price. The more the story is shared, the more customers we can find to report these breeders. You can find me on Instagram at Little Thumper Bun, and you can also sign this petition. The best part about this petition, it now is the first thing that pops up when people search Bunny Rabbitry on Google. This petition has stopped tons of people from purchasing from these breeders. The next story is about a large scale rescue mission done by Ohio House Rabbit Rescue and Columbus House Rabbit Society. We have one incident that comes to mind as being big enough to share on a platform like this. We were notified of rabbits dumped at an abandoned schoolhouse. There were gravestones on site, and it was a creepy place. The rabbits were dumped in groups of 7 every week for 3 weeks until we had rescued 21 in total. Some had serious eye injuries, others' fur was completely stained from the urine of rabbits who used to be housed above them, and a few didn't survive. We think it was a breeder getting rid of inventory. They were dumped at an old abandoned schoolhouse that apparently was used as a homeless shelter. There were numbered headstones and unmarked graves on the property. 2 years later, we got a call about rabbits in a cul de sac of an up and coming neighborhood. The lots that had yet to be purchased were heavily wooded, and that's where we rescued 9 bunnies. We realized shortly after that it was only minutes from the abandoned schoolhouse, so we think the breeder found a new location. Perhaps they do every year, and some years, the bunnies just aren't found or we aren't notified. So these were the two stories of this week. I'll leave Thumper's information and the two rescues information in the show notes. And of course, if you are on Apple, make sure to go on Podbean to see all the links. If you have an animal related story that you want to tell, please feel free to send one in at vsf.official.podcast@gmail.com. And yeah, you guys, this is the penultimate show before the season finale next Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys next Wednesday. Toodles!